Great look at the racetrack here, Roger. Now that we've seen a couple of races, we're walking around this morning, and some of the riders were saying that it seemed a little slippery. It was more slick than it seemed to be last season. Now that you've seen it in race trim, what do you think about the track?
I think it's great, especially for a lot of these young riders, and I think the great thing for this track for them is the elevation. We talk so much on the MotoAmerica race weekends, riders talking about how tricky when elevation, and which makes it a little bit harder to either learn the track or make the passes, and I think gives them a good opportunity to start working on that at a young age. And first two races have already went down to the last lap, last corner, so we're off to a good start.
Yeah, you said that early on, that with these riders being so young, they haven't had the opportunity yet to have these huge spans of experience differences, and the bikes are very closely matched, obviously being in stock trim. So it really comes down to just the rider and those shorter race distances. It's great entertainment.
We also see some good battles. Last year kind of with some runaway races, and I think just the competition, and we're going to see riders make moves and do different things in the next race.
Look back into the beginning of the paddock area, but you can see the commitment here, not just from, you saw the MotoAmerica truck with the timing and scoring, and the AMA sanction behind it, and really giving these riders something to race for. But then you can see back into the paddocks, the setup that the teams bring. We're right. I mean, we're right on the property of Road America, so it's a great opportunity.
Dunlop has their semi here as well, so I mean that's really cool for these young riders. They go to these MotoAmerica races and they see these big semis like Dunlop, and then they're walking up today and they're at their race, so it's got to make them feel pretty good.
Got to go over to Dunlop to get their own tires. Yeah. You see the riders getting ready for the Street GP race. These are on the Groms, the Honda Groms. 14, you have to be 14 and older here. Just 3 competitors, but you only need 2 to race.
That's right.
Familiar face that we've seen racing in the North American Talent Cup this season. Bodie Page will be out there. He is our pole sitter for the Street GP. Here's a good look at Road America. From here, Roger mentioned that this category, you have to be 14 at least. What are some of the next steps that you can take?
I think that the big one, we've already heard some riders riding in the Asian Talent Cup and some other European races, but I think Talent Cup, I think that has to be the next marker. If you're not racing in Europe currently and you're wanting to make that transition, Talent Cup right now is going to be the next step. We've seen how competitive it is and how that class is taken off. So I think if you're 14, 12 years old in that range, you're looking at that Talent Cup class.
Bodie Page from Talent Cup is here competing.
And a winner in Talent Cup as well.
Yep. And Bodie's been a great young talent to get to know over the course of this MotoAmerica Championship season. We have Cooper Glover will be starting alongside him, 14-year-old rider out of Odessa, Florida, underneath that McIntyre Racing banner.
And Bodie's just such a talent that this year at the Flat Track Amateur Nationals, which is like this, but for Flat Track, he won the Nicky Hayden Horizon Award, which is the rider with the next up and coming rider with they feel like it's got a bright future, and Bodie was able to win that. So definitely doing a lot of good stuff.
That's a great point that you make, Roger, that it's not just about getting the race wins here, getting the #1 plate here, but being at these types of events, your name goes into the pot for scholarships like that.
And you're looking for rides, and people are going to know when they leave here. There's going to be rumors about who came here and who dominated, who's the young rider to look for.
There is the starting grid for these 3 riders. I mentioned Bodie Page being on pole, Cooper Glover starting alongside him, and then Joshua Rodriguez rounding out the 3 that are on the property here this weekend. Not a lot of bikes, not a lot of riders here in this particular category, but it means that there's more on the line in terms of bragging rights, right?
That's right. You're going to get a podium.
7 laps planned for the Street GP category. For a rider like Bodie, who is already in the Talent Cup, what could he gain from doing a race like this?
Just riding laps, getting track time, even on a different bike. I think that's something you can't replace. There's only 3 riders out there, and it's a little different bike than he's racing with. But he'd be home sitting on the couch. This is so much better for that. Just keeping that mind sharp and riding something different too. I think helps you build your skills.
See him on the big stage at MotoAmerica National event each weekend, but you have to remember the fact that he is still only just 15 years old, and Cooper right alongside him who's 14 years old, just getting that seat time and as many laps as possible here for the warm-up lap now. There's a look at Joshua Rodriguez, a little bit older than the other competitors, but I mean, what, you mentioned it. Would you rather be on the couch or would you want to be out here just getting to ride?
Especially this track. It looks like so much fun to ride. Coming through here with all the elevation uphill.
It's a warm day today also, Roger, in terms of physicality when it's hot like this and it's a little bit windy.
Yep.
How difficult is it for the riders?
Well, I think it's difficult because they had a practice day here yesterday, and it was really hot yesterday as well. And, you know, these young kids they're not really focused on their hydration. I mean, they're just playing with their buddies in between races, as we've seen this morning when he's walking around. So just trying to make sure they at least stay focused enough to stay hydrated.
Good look at Bodie Page. BPR Mission Foods rider out of Australia. His family's made a huge commitment to race over here in the United States this season, so great to have him each and every weekend. We're underway here for race number 1, the Street GP. A little bit easier for these riders to get through this first lap. Only 3 of them out there, but 7 laps, Roger. They've got to make it to the end.
Yep, and for Bodie, he's going to be trying to just compare himself and try to get better and challenge himself as this race goes on, his lap times, and try to be consistent.
He qualified at a 56.7 to earn that pole position. We'll see after this standing start lap if he's able to continue to improve lap after lap. But it's also great to see some of the young riders go to the fence to watch Bodie get out there and ride and see what they can pick up from watching him.
Yeah, and that's big for the young riders, is watching his lines. That's the big thing. See what he's doing, and especially if there's a corner you're struggling at, maybe watch and see what he's doing different. He might be entering the corner a little bit wider than you are, and get out there and get that opportunity to see it with your own eyes.
From that standing start, lap number 1 was a 59.5 for Bodie. That's a great opening lap, though, for both Cooper and Joshua. Joshua with a 103.4. He qualified at a 102.5. Big improvements.
It's tough in these races, can be tough in these races when there's not a lot of riders. You can see the lead that Bodie has already. Is just trying to make sure you maintain that focus.
I think the point that you made, though, about just continuing to improve yourself from session to session, not just necessarily race to race, but practice to practice, to qualifying, and then going through these 4 races, there's certainly something that could be gained from it.
Big time. Even like your riding style. I mean, riders work on that parts of their riding style till the end of their career. So there's things that Bodie, it might be hanging off the bike a little bit more, or getting a little more confidence trail braking. There's always a little bit of something you can get out there and learn and try to get better.
You can see Bodie, yes, he's riding out with a pretty commanding lead right now, but you can see him tucking in. You can see how aggressive he is with his body. He's wanting to improve. He's doing this because he wants to learn.
Yep. And he's going to try to go quicker than he qualified, and might be a little bit harder. It's warmer this afternoon. Track temperature's up, so it's going to, grip might go down a little bit, and I think it's just a big thing. Bodie just seeing what he can do and be consistent.
See that track day on hand on the big track here this afternoon. time of year, there's not a quiet weekend here at Road America.
The battle for second starting to heat up.
Joshua Rodriguez continuing to sit in second place. Cooper Glover, after falling behind him at the start, still looking to see if he can get back around. Lap times for those two quicker now than what they were in qualifying, both of them at a 1:01.9 and a 1:01.7. So they've been able to improve here with Bodie continuing to sit out front.
You can just see it in his riding, Jamie. You mentioned him tucking in and stuff. I mean, he is riding the wheels off that bike.
Continuing each lap by to improve his lap time here in race trim. A 57.2 was the last lap by. His qualifying best time was a 56.79. So we'll see if he's able to get down into that range as Cooper looks, see if he could get around Joshua.
He's close enough now to make a pass if there's an opportunity. See Josh looking back, seeing Cooper's right there. Want to see how big of a gap he had, and looks back and he sees he has no gap.
No less than 0.2 of a second separated them at the line. And as this lap has continued, Cooper has continued to close in on the back of him. It's a 57.2 for Bodie that last lap. All right, as these two come around the line, the gap now still holding at about 0.2 of a second. See Josh starting to look down. What's he looking at, Roger?
I think he used all the track, and it looks like he got a little close to the grass there. He's wanting to take a look down. See Cooper there kind of moving around a little bit. He needs to get a little bit closer before he can actually take a shot.
The second half of the lap is where Cooper closes that gap up a little bit. Certainly somewhere where he could improve later on this afternoon, that front half, as we are now on the final lap for Bodie Page. The last lap by was a 57.1, so he continues to improve each and every lap, and you can see it in the way he's riding. That was his goal coming into this, just continue to get better and better, and he has certainly done that. The battle for second coming around the last turn to start off this final lap of the 7-lap first race. Josh continuing to hold the point over Cooper. But Bodie Page just hasn't put a wheel wrong, and taking full advantage of the track time this weekend and just being out at a racetrack and having his name mentioned more and more.
Yeah, and just getting laps. That's so important for a young rider out there, just riding and having a good time, but you know he's also learning some stuff.
Bodie comes across, he takes the checkered flag, race number 1, and it was another improving lap for him, so he'll certainly be pleased with that, a 57.0. Didn't get quite down to where he was in qualifying, but as you mentioned, the temperature a little bit higher, the track a little bit greasier, and he continued to improve each time past the stripe as this battle continues all the way around here on the final lap. Does Cooper have enough? Can he get around Joshua?
He tried to a couple corners back, but he just wasn't close enough. Joshua just haven't left the door open for Cooper to make a move.
And at the stripe, it was down to less than 0.2 of a second. Joshua Rodriguez able to finish in second. Cooper Glover having to settle for third. But that battle, I think, will continue later on this afternoon in the second race.
And they also themselves did their best lap, that last lap, 1:01.5. So they improved over about a second where they qualified.
A great result for them, pushing each other the whole 7 laps. There is our race winner, young Bodie Page, just 15 years old, out of Australia, racing in the United States here this season. Great to have him continuing to stay stateside in between the MotoAmerica North American Talent Cup races. Congratulations to him. We'll hear from him in just a moment. But again, Street GP Championship race second race will be later on this afternoon. That will be at 3:40 local time, so they'll get a chance to go back to their paddock area, get ready, clean up a few things perhaps, see if they can learn anything. I wonder if any of them will go over and talk to Bodie, see if they can pick up anything.
I'd go over and talk to him. I think Cooper's going to replay that last lap in his head in between all the way till the next race where the door was open in a couple spots. He just didn't take it.
It's like a Porsche Club event here at Road America this afternoon. Mentioned the fact that this time of year there is not a lot of quiet time here at Road America. Coming up next will be the GP 160 race number 1. We have a full field of riders in that category between the ages of 9 and 14 years old. So good opportunity for some of them to make a name for themselves, and good opportunity for others to get some of that experience that they need. They'll be the first of their 2 races here today. Looks like the track is clear, so we'll hear from Bodie shortly. What a beautiful day we have.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. I mean, the weather couldn't be perfect. Getting a little cloudy out there now. Hot and humid, but perfect day for racing.
All right, and Bodie Page now at our interview location. Great opening race for you today, Bodie. What were you able to learn out there over the course of those 7 laps?
Yeah, just, I don't know, I was just out there having fun, just got a good start. That was my main point of the race, because I haven't started on that thing before, so, I mean, we got off to a good start, which I was happy with, and then I just clicked off the laps and just had fun out there. I can't thank American Honda for the contingency, CJR, and Jones Honda enough, Corey Texter, Mission Foods, Revit, Orion Americas, and 64 Degree. They all helped me out so much.
Bodie, what's been the biggest difference on that bike compared to your Talent Cup bike?
Just not as much chatter. That's about it.
For the riders here this weekend, Bodie, that are old enough, that are 14 years old, and they win one of their category races, they potentially get to race in the Talent Cup next season. The experience that you've had so far racing in it this year, what kind of opportunity is on the table for them?
Yeah, of course, it's definitely one of the best opportunities you can get, especially with teams and stuff. It definitely teaches you a lot before you move on to big bikes, and teaches you a lot of good teaches you a good style and just good racecraft. So yeah, I think for people that are going up into that class, they're going to enjoy it a lot and learn a lot.
What are you going to work on going into that second race?
Try to go faster, I guess.
It's the name of the game, trying to improve each and every time. You did that over the course of your 7 laps. Each one was better than the one before it. You mentioned the start being your main objective. What is now your objective for race 2?
Try and beat my lap time from this race.
All right, it was a 57.053 was your best lap of race number 1. We'll see if you can improve in race number 2. Congratulations.
Sweet, thank you.
All right, that was Bodie Page taking home the race win here in race number 1 for the Street GP category. All right, coming up next as we go through the different categories here on the property will be the Street GP bikes. You see the number 65 there. That is Bodie Page. He won the first race earlier today. Second place went to Josh Rodriguez. And then Cooper Glover finishing in third. They will have 5 minutes for the wet familiarization. The track is a lot drier than it was at the start of that Stock 110 race, though. So not nearly as much water as what there could have been. I think everyone did a great job to give these riders some time, let the track dry out. But, Roger, I heard a little rumor that we might get a break during the Stock 50 race later on this evening, and Bodie Page might put on one of the headsets.
Yeah, and Hank Vosberg.
Oh,
these two put on a great race at Mid-Ohio, so see how they do in the booth.
These 2 young riders call the action for the youngest riders that are here on the property in the Stock 50 class, the 6 to 8-year-olds. That'll be exciting. All 3 of them are out there and ready to go. 5-minute practice, and then again a 5-minute hold before the racetrack opens back up for the sighting lap for race number 2. Being told about 30 more seconds before the 5-minute clock starts. So when we talked to Bodie Page earlier, he won the race, race number 1, and one of the things that he said was that he wanted to go back out, get another good start. That was his goal for race number 1. But then he also wanted to go out and see if he could improve his lap times. Conditions have changed, so that's going to be off the table.
Yeah.
So what do you focus on?
I think just try to get faster as the race goes on in wet conditions. And just, get as many laps as possible as he can with green tires and just get better every lap. Just challenge himself.
Again, Bodie Page, one of our competitors in the MotoAmerica, the North American Talent Cup category, a race winner in that category on the newly built for the class Kramer. Right in the middle of the championship season for the North American Talent Cup. Bodie out here this weekend. Still just a young rider.
Young. Not a lot of experience on a road race bike at all. We see a rider off track.
He's still looking to get more and more experience, and that's why he's out here. There's Cooper Glover there on the number 14 that we saw go through the grass, just 14 years old, out of Odessa, Florida.
He did a great job when he ran off the track. He didn't panic. A lot of times a young rider, when they run off track, they panic and they lock up the front brake, and he just kind of didn't really use the front brake and just, let himself get back on the track safely.
This is the Street GP category. These are the Honda Groms that these riders, all 3 of them, are out there on. Roger, what do they have on these bikes that they don't have on the stock bikes?
Well, I think these is just kind of, you see a lot of Honda Groms on the street, so they got mirrors and stuff like that they take off. The seat's a little bit wider as well. But these things are just made for the street. But I know they are a lot of fun on track days, and I know that a lot of people love going and riding these. But it's just a little bit different. It's made for the street. It's got, when you first get it, needs a little bit of work to get it ready to go racing.
Bodie Page was thankful that a bike was available for him to be able to come out here this weekend, so get some more experience. Joshua Rodriguez, the oldest rider that we have here this weekend. This particular class, the Street GP class, is for riders that are 14 and over. But all 3 of these competitors just wanting to challenge themselves and go out and do better than they did the lap before.
And also just have fun.
Yep.
A lot of part of racing, and not everybody's going to make it to the MotoAmerica level of superbike, and you just got to go out and have fun and continue to enjoy it. That's what makes the sport so great.
If you're just tuning in, it does say sighting lap on the top of your screen, but this is the wet sighting, so this is a 5-minute sighting session, a wet familiarization session for this category. Each of the categories this evening will get a wet familiarization session just because the racetrack has changed so drastically. Puddles now there, both on the racetrack as well as off of the racetrack, and just giving them all an opportunity to see what it looks like, feel it out in these conditions.
The lap times are a little bit closer in the wet conditions. 2 seconds is Bodie ahead of Cooper. In the dry, it was a little closer to 4 or 5.
Rain is always the great equalizer, and while the rain has stopped, the racetrack continues to hold some of that moisture.
It really is dry and fast. I mean, looking out our window on the pit lane in front of us, it's starting to dry up a couple spots on pit lane. Cody looks like he's just kind of taking it easy.
Yep. You don't want to be the rider that goes out in this 5-minute session and pushes it too hard.
This part of the track's still really wet. Kind of down at the bottom of the hill there, you can kind of see it's still pretty wet in this part.
But to your point, you can see some dry spots starting to grow around the racetrack. Clouds have broken up overhead as well, so hopefully it can stay dry as we go in through the evening.
So it looked like Bodie was cruising that lap. He still did his personal best lap.
Checkered flag being shown now for this 5-minute wet familiarization session. That means the 5-minute clock will start before the racetrack will open for the sighting lap. All three of the competitors in the Street GP class are made their way back around. They will exit the track and get themselves mentally ready for the 7-lap race.
This track is going to continue to change for these riders. We talk a lot about the rain is less physical, but it's the mental aspect that's so tough. Remembering what corners are dried out, what corners are slick for these riders. That's pretty young, just being able to stay focused. Yeah, 7 laps don't sound like a lot, but in rain, it can be tough.
Good look at the sky overhead here, and you can see what a beautiful evening it's really turned into. I think I hear crickets also coming through, coming through the camera microphones. Great time of year to be out here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're down in town last night and this morning. A lot of people vacationing in this area right now. It's a beautiful part of the country. If you've never been to a race out here at Road America, it is certainly one to put on your list. And any race to come to Road America for is certainly a treat. MotoAmerica races here always provide a ton of action. We had a packed house when we were here earlier this summer.
Biggest two-wheel event ever, the biggest road race crowd they've had ever.
Sold out the camping spots. So if you want to come out for next season, make sure you put it on your list early. You don't want to be one of the last ones out here for sure.
And you're right, it is one of the best ones on the calendar, the area. All the riders love coming here to Road America, and it is definitely one of the ones highlighted when I see that schedule come out every year that I look forward to.
See some kids that haven't raced yet here in race number 2, taking the opportunity to go out there, and looks like they're practicing some starts, getting themselves familiar with the wet ground underneath them.
See the rider in front using pretty hard on the front brake there, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. Really good idea.
Great idea. Saw Bodie Page there, a shot of him just a few moments ago. There's Hank Fosberg. You mentioned Hank, one of our other North American Talent Cup race winners here on the property. Tucker, one of our MotoAmerica media members, shoots a lot of great behind-the-scenes action, and looks like Hank is interested, curious.
Hank's trying to learn the game.
He's going to learn the game again later on when he comes in here for the Stock 50 category and takes one of our headsets over, gets to call the action for that race later on this evening. Nice to see him out at the racetrack, just really diving into the racing community. But a few moments ago, we saw a shot of Bodie Page after he had come off of the racetrack, and it looked like he was just sitting by himself. He was sitting on the bike waiting for the racetrack to open back up for the sighting lap, Roger, for racing. When you're in that position and you just have a couple of minutes, 2 minutes now is the time that he's going to have to wait. When you're just sitting there with your helmet on, what goes through your mind?
Well, you're just trying to think about your laps and where you struggled at and where you felt like you could have been better. And you look at the competition, and you're going to look at the live lap times and see how close his competitors are to see if he needs to pick up the pace a little bit more or not.
See a shot of some of the families that are out here this weekend. I think that might be Corey's family.
It is.
That it's out here. Work having to be done. It continues. Everything had to get packed away when that rain and the lightning came through. Now everything has to come back out. But there's a good shot from the drone where you can see some of those dry spots that you talked about. Look at the racetrack, though, and it looks like it's still pretty damp.
Yeah.
There's some dry spots starting to form.
But it's still going to be wet for probably the rest of the day. But we'll see what happens. Might be a little dry line in some spots. See on pit exit there, a little dry spot. I think on top of the hill, as they go up, I think you're going to see up around turns 5 and 6 where it can start to dry out a little bit faster.
See the missing bike number 14 from Cooper Glover, one of the 3 that's out here for the Street GP. There he is. All right, so there's Cooper. So he's making his way over, coming across our broadcast window here, and he's going to join the other 2 competitors. And the green flag is out. So this is now the sighting lap for race number 2. The Street GP class. It's number 65 of Bodie Page. We were talking about won race number 1 earlier today, collected those 25 points. It's Joshua Rodriguez there on the 285 that finished in 2nd, and then Cooper Glover who finished 3rd. Again, we will hand out those coveted AMA number 1 plates at the end of racing tomorrow. All of the classes will have another 2 races tomorrow afternoon. Original grid from race number 1 here for race number 2 in all of the classes, but here's a look at how they qualified in Street GP with Bodie Page as our pole sitter. Cooper Glover in 2nd, and then Joshua Rodriguez there in 3rd. Joshua Rodriguez out of San Antonio, Texas. Cooper Glover from Odessa, Florida. Joshua Rodriguez, 30 years old. Cooper Glover, 14 years old from Odessa, Florida. And then you have Bodie Page, 15, from Queensland, Australia. So big span here in this particular category. So that was the sighting lap. Everyone to their grid positions. Ready for the warm-up lap.
Another opportunity to see the track. You see the paint lines right there, Jamie. These riders are going to have to be a little bit careful. The paint lines on a couple parts of the track can be really slick.
At the big tracks that we go to, Roger, a lot of them, they put that aggregate in the paint on the lines, but on these smaller tracks, on the go-kart tracks, is the same out there? Is it slick?
I'm not sure. I know definitely on the big track they have the good paint, but still when you're straight up and down, sometimes like that, when you're on the front brake like they are for that chicane, you just gotta be able to fill it out, and that's why they get those 5 minutes to check that track out. And you know, it could be might be really good, but just something to look for off the start.
See, even on this warm-up lap, Bodie Page going through his line, going over the curb and checking it all out, just like you mentioned. Find that limit, find out what it will hold. Warm-up lap now complete. So these 3 riders make their way to their grid position. This is a 7-lap race here for Street GP, race number 2. It's 4-race battle for the number 1 plate. Bit of a wheelie there for Joshua Rodriguez. Bodie Page, quick work of getting out front.
Cooper Glover, great start there. He got himself right up in second place already.
It was the start of the first race where Joshua Rodriguez was able to get around Cooper in race number 1, and then Cooper wasn't able to get back by. So see what he's able to do here in race number 2. He had the cleaner start of the two of them. Bodie Page out front, not pushing it too much.
You can see he's looking back. He's just kind of judging his pace. And that's a smart ride, not to when you feel like you got a little pace. You don't have to win the race by 15 seconds. Just make sure you see that checkered flag. We see a pass almost for second.
Joshua Rodriguez right there on the back of Cooper as they come across the stripe. 1 of 7 already completed. Cooper's going to have to go on the defense here because you can see how badly Joshua wants to get around him.
They definitely have stayed a lot closer in the wet conditions compared to race 1. Joshua looking up the inside. He's going to make the pass.
Cooper's not going to fight him off here on the second lap, but he's going to have to stay tucked right there to the back wheel of Joshua if he's going to have a chance to take that position back, because now with nothing in front of him, looks like Joshua's a little more comfortable.
See what Josh can do now that he's got himself into second. See if he can't catch the leader.
It's a great opportunity for him to get a little bit closer to Bodie Page. See what Bodie's doing.
Yeah.
See what he's able to do with the bike. What line is he taking? It's a great learning opportunity. Well, Bodie is just 15 years old. He has been racing each and every weekend as much as possible. And I mean, you can see it up on the screen. He's a tremendous talent. For these riders to be able to get a good look at it, see if they can improve as well.
Track is drying fast, Jamie. Last lap, a 1:08.4 by Bodie Page.
Was he in the sighting lap, a 1:10?
Yeah.
But you can see the dry spots now on the screen. It's going to get better and better for each of these riders. How dry does the track need to get, Roger, before you're no longer out there with a wet condition?
Yeah, we still have a ways to go, especially for these kids. You know, the rains, even if it's in the dry, they're just a little bit softer. You know, on the big bikes, they'll burn up. So it's better to be safe for the younger riders if it's wet at half the track. But I'd say if it was some of the more experienced riders, I'd say by the end of the day's races, people would be out on slicks.
4 laps now to go. Joshua Rodriguez has opened that gap out over Cooper Glover. About a second and a half was separating the two of them at the line. You can see it on the screen, though, that Cooper's fallen back just a little bit. He's not nearly as comfortable pushing the issue.
Just a couple little parts of the track where Josh is better than Cooper, that he pulls away those couple tenths a lap. Last lap, it was only about a half a second, but you can see it starts to add up as the race goes on.
Again, though, Cooper Glover just 14 years old, and this category is for riders that are 14 and over. Put that in perspective. Joshua Rodriguez at 30 years old, he's been on a bike in the rain. Maybe it's on a track day. Maybe it's on the street. This is started his life as a street bike. So for him, he has a lot more experience, and that's just something that these younger riders are looking to gain right now. 3 laps to go for our race leader, Bodie Page, as he has a 5-second gap now over second place of Joshua Rodriguez with his head down.
And Bodie had a wet race earlier in the year at Barber in the Talent Cup, and then you won't go back to Mid-Ohio a couple weeks ago. It's kind of conditions like this, a little wet, a little dry. So he's got a little bit of experience in those conditions compared to a young guy, as you mentioned, Cooper.
down to a 107 for Bodie Page, a 107.6 also for Joshua Rodriguez. So you can see how much more comfortable he's getting in these conditions and what that's doing to the gap. When you're on the same equipment, you know the bike has a limit.
Yeah.
The bike is eventually going to be maxed out. It's going to come down to the rider. In the case of Joshua Rodriguez and Cooper Glover here, with just the 3 competitors out there on the same equipment, they're going to be able to overnight take a look back, see what Bodie was doing, and see if they can close that gap up tomorrow.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Rodriguez made a little bit of a mistake that last lap, and he got back in the 109s, and it really blew that gap wide open.
Cooper Glover, his eyes focused forward, that clear visor. Just wanting to put this one behind him. We saw that wet familiarization session, those 5 minutes. He went off the racetrack, was able to do a great job of keeping it up on 2 wheels and rejoin. And certainly learning some lessons here in these conditions, something he's going to be able to take forward through the rest of his racing career, no matter what he ends up with. White flag now being shown to Bodie Page, a final lap here of 7 in race number 2 for the Street GP category. You can see that gap continuing to open up for second place. Cooper Glover there in third, but as Joshua came to the white flag, you could see him shaking his head.
Yeah.
It was another 109 lap for him. Compare Bodie Page was down into the 106s that lap, so over 10.5 seconds now separating first from second. It looked like Joshua wanted it to be just a little bit closer.
I wonder if he started struggling with something toward the middle of that race, last couple laps, to go from the 107s to 109. Looked like he's kind of shaking his head, as you mentioned, coming up the front straightaway.
We'll have to wait and find out about that as we get ready for 2 more races for these 3 riders tomorrow. Whatever issues they were dealing with, they'll be able to work on overnight. But for day number 1, it will be another victory for Bodie Page, as he's the first to the checkered flag here in the Street GP category. Another 25 points coming his way. And there's your battle for second, going to Joshua Rodriguez, in third place for Cooper Glover. Those 7 laps now wrapped up. These 3 competitors can now focus their attention to racing tomorrow. They'll get another shot at qualifying, reset the grid, get ready for 2 more races tomorrow afternoon. Again, number 1 plate being handed out from the AMA in all 6 of the categories that are here on the property. Just like we saw Bodie collect 50 points today in day number 1. We see how quickly that can turn around.
Quickly. You know, for these riders finishing up this race, it's already got to get looking forward to tomorrow and looking over your notes from yesterday's practice day, the direction the track will be tomorrow. As we see right there, Bodie Page, winner. Second place, Joshua Rodriguez, and third place, Cooper Glover.
You know, one of the things that Bodie said last time was that he just wanted to keep improving, and even though the conditions weren't what everyone had hoped for and he wasn't able to go quicker here in race 2, he'll be able to take a look at his lap chart and realize that he was still able to improve each and every lap around. So a lot of good things for him. Coming up next, you can see some of the competitors starting to make their way to the exit of pit lane to get ready for their wet familiarization session. It will be for the GP 160 category. These riders between the ages of 9 and 14. They will also get 5 minutes to see what those Dunlop reins feel like in these changing track conditions.
I was just thinking that. The track was a lot different from the beginning of that last race till the end, where there's a lot of dry spots, and the more bikes on track in some of these bigger classes, it's going to dry out even quicker.
14 bikes on the property here in the GP 160 class. Race number 1, the victory went to Jace Dill, our pole sitter. See Bodie there talking to Hank Vosberg. Again, looking forward, Roger, to these two coming into the booth, taking over our headsets. Are going to call the action for the 5-lap race for the Stock 50 riders. Just a couple more, one more race, really, isn't it? I've got the 160 that'll be next up, and then Stock 50. Be entertaining. Listening to those two that are back on the racing simulator that's behind us in the booth, talking each other through that one. I can't wait to hear what they have to say with a microphone.
They're going to realize it's a lot harder than they think. Because that's what I thought.
Great experience for them to be able to come in here and do that, though, this weekend. As you can see, more of the riders now getting ready for their familiarization session. Let's go ahead and hear from Bodie Page with the headset on. Congratulations. Another strong result for you.
Yeah, definitely. That was a bit of a stressful race at the start for the first 4 laps, and then yeah, the tires started to warm up and I started to feel more comfortable. So I was like, all right, I'll start to push a little bit because I was only at 75%. So I was just I'll increase the pace a little bit, see how it feels, and it felt like I had good grip. So I just tried to maintain that pace and go a bit quicker throughout the race.
How hard was it to maintain that focus in these wet conditions with the biggest lead as you have?
I mean, I have a really good mentor and coach with me, so I'm definitely getting better at keeping my focus, which is good. So it wasn't as hard as previous races, but yeah, for sure it was a little bit tough knowing that I had such a big gap towards the end, and just tried to play smart.
You said it was stressful there, especially at the start of the race. We have a field of 9 to 14-year-olds about to go out there. If you could give them any advice, they can't hear you right now. So what would it be that you would tell them about the racetrack?
I don't know. Little kids don't really think that through. But yeah, I think I would definitely let the tires warm up a little bit because when they're cold, they're a little bit sketchy, and especially when they're new, like what I had on. So.
We're watching the coverage from the cameras around the racetrack. From aboard the bike, what areas of the racetrack are still pretty wet?
Just through all the flat stuff, the track. The hills and stuff are pretty dry.
Okay.
But yeah, just all the flat stuff still a little bit wet. Some places is still really wet, but yeah, I think the track will dry out for the 50s pretty well. So.
Hey, Bodie, what can you learn this week on the Grom that you can carry on to your Talent Cup bike?
I think corner speed is one of them. Corner speed, I think the only way you can really ride these bikes is with corner speed. So, yeah, I definitely think that helps with coming through the long sweepers and, yeah, the tighter corners where you can brake harder and then release it and roll. So, yeah, I think that's helping me with quite a few things that'll translate over to the Kramer.
Well, the wet familiarization session is underway for the GP 160 race number 2, and we've got you on the headset, Bodie. You know, we talk a lot about commitment and what it takes to be able to race every single weekend. As an Australian rider racing in the United States this season, what sort of commitment have you and your whole family really put behind this program for you?
A lot. I think the biggest one's family time together. We don't really see each other that much very often anymore. So I mean, it sucks for sure. It gets to me some days, but yeah, I have really good people behind me back here. So yeah, the Texas family, they like my second family to me. So yeah, they take really good care of me. But yeah, it definitely helps having them. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a big one for me because I love spending so much time with my family, and yeah, it just kind of sucks a little bit sometimes.
Bodie, where do you see yourself as your career progresses in the next 5 years and then 10 years from now?
I think with how much training I'm doing and the riding that I'm doing, I think my goal is to hopefully in the near future get to MotoGP. So I'm training hard. I've got my goals set for that, but we're going to take it one step at a time, and I believe in myself that I can do it. So, I just have to keep my head on straight and just keep focusing and working hard for it.
Great head on his shoulders. 2 race victories here today. Congratulations to Bodie Page. Look forward to you being in the booth in just a few moments' time, but great job today.
Thank you.